Welcome to the show. This is the Frankly Fantasy Football Podcast, Fantasy Football for the Average Joe. We are your hosts, Frankie and Johnny. Namaste, Frankie.
Namaste, Johnny. How's it going, man?
Hey, man. First Sunday in the books. Oh, I feel like a, not a Mormon, but what do you call the people that come to your house with the watchtower?
I don't know. I thought they were fucking Mormons, the guys that come over and they're like, hey, let me talk to you.
That's what I feel. First Sunday, it just feels like that's a religious thing, and it was a religious thing. How was your Sunday? Sitting there watching football, watching the Browns, then watching Red Zone.
Just have to show it off. Playoff shirt for those who want to. It's the dog pound. Yeah, we're ready to bite back. That's how I feel.
Brownies got there. A lot of storylines this weekend, man. The Brownies. Baker Mayfield returns, plays against Cleveland, and the Browns got it done. And you know what? Baker Mayfield, he looked exactly like he did with Cleveland. All the mistakes, all the scrambling around, all the, rushed and hurried, panicked throws looked exactly like Cleveland. So even when he's healthy, that's just who he is. But you know what? He couldn't close the game, man. That was the big issues we had.
Thank God to Cade York. I mean, jeez, how good does it feel, John, to have a fucking kicker?
Finally have a kicker. I mean, is it weird to sign a rookie to an extension after one game?
Do it.
Sign this guy. Sign this guy. And the weirdest part is I've got 3 kids older than Cade York. Isn't that funny? They're like, so the Browns haven't won a week 1 game since 2004. Cade, how old are you? When were you born? And he goes, 2001. I went, oh my God.
Isn't that insane?
It's nuts, man. It's nuts.
I mean, dude, the Browns haven't won a season opening game since '94, and then it was '04 that we even won a game, whether it was at home or away.
These stats are embarrassing. I'm glad we're breaking them because, my God, that's embarrassing. Jesus.
Gross, man.
You know what? The days of Brownies fans being embarrassed, they're over. They're over.
Done.
Well, except for this guy. He embarrassed us a little bit in the offseason, Deshaun. Mm-hmm. You sick bastard. Hey, other good storylines this weekend, though. Man, there were some great games. How about Russell Wilson's return to Seattle? Was that shocking?
Crazy.
I know. This is your opportunity. You're pissed. I can see it in your face. You're raging right now. You're on a rage virus. You're so upset about that 4th and 5 call.
Terrible.
Talk to me. Let it out.
Terrible.
This is good therapy for you. Let it out.
It is. It's very good therapy because I feel like nobody gets it, like that I talk with on a day-to-day basis. And I talk with you and it's just like, oh my God, I'm not fucking nuts. And it's like,
don't use me as your barometer if you're crazy. For sure.
Well, yeah.
I am not a good measurement.
Blind leading the blind here.
Yeah,
man.
Exactly. No, you're not crazy, man.
No, okay, let's talk about this for a second. 4th and 5, you pay a guy $250 million in an arena he knows or a stadium that he knows very well. And instead of going for it, by the way, you just got 9 yards on a dump off to Javonte Williams the play before that. Okay. So now it's 4th and 5. You're setting up. It's a 64-yard field goal, or you go for it with Russ, which you should go for it with Russ with the offense that you have around. Instead, you kick it. And here's my problem, John. It's not like you have Justin Tucker back there. Okay. You have Brandon McManus. Okay. This guy is 1 for 7. Kicks over 60 yards. So right there, it's terrible. Right there, it's very, very minuscule at the amount that he's probably going to make this, okay? The second biggest thing in the history of the NFL, John, the kicks over 64 yards or more, it has happened 2 times in the history of the NFL. Okay, 2 fucking times. And now you marry that with a guy who has only made 1 out of 7 kicks over 60 yards. Okay, and to put that in perspective for those of you like listening and watching, guys, the 2 times, that is 4%. 4%. You had a 4% chance to make that field goal, not even including McManus's terrible percentage of anything over 60 yards, rather than taking the percentage of a chance of giving the ball to Russell Wilson and putting it in his hands. I think that was an atrocity. That was terrible. That was one of the worst play calls I honestly think I've ever seen, John. And it's not because, oh, do you kick? Do you not kick? It's literally because of the data's backing you don't there. The player that's kicking the ball can't do it. And then you signed a guy to $250 million on a 4th and 5 situation, and you take it out of his hands. I think a massive, massive disservice to the Broncos fans and to Broncos Nation. They did not ride. They did not ride last night. They rode their ass back to Denver is what happened.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry,
it was
I had
crazy.
to get that out. It was just crazy.
It's good. It's good therapy for you. And,
it is good therapy for me.
Yeah. So you can go ahead. You don't have to tell me how you feel now. You can decide and talk to me about it later. It's okay. You're good.
Thank you.
How'd your teams do? How'd you do personally this week?
Yeah, so from fantasy, man, it was rough. I got my shit kicked in, if I'm being honest.
Hey, you should listen to a podcast, man, because I hear that they help. Yeah.
So I did win in one league. I'm in 2 other leagues. Had Dak, had a few others, just really shit the bed. And then, the flip side of it, I also had in a couple of leagues, Dalvin Cook, kind of underperformed. Also had Brandon Ayuk, kind of definitely underperformed, and just a few others. Just a rough week, man. Just a rough week. How about you?
I dominated, brother. I dominated, man. That's just, high point man in one league, second high point man in the other. Just winning leagues, man. That's
what you do.
It's just kind of what I do. Yeah. I'll fall apart. Don't worry about it. I'm feeling good right now, but that just means I drafted well and whatever. I didn't have the wrong guys. Let's put it that way. How about that game in Chicago? The monsoon.
What a wild game.
That was crazy. The worst part about that game is, first of all, Trey Lance was my champion. I know that. I watch all my champions. I'm making sure how they're doing. That whole game we just have to throw out. I can't tell you anything new about Trey Lance. I can't tell you anything new about Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel or David Montgomery or Mooney or Justin Fields. No analysis. You throw it all away because that game doesn't matter. So when you're going into this week, don't be freaked out by that game at all. This is kind of the week 1 freak out is kind of what we're talking about right now. Should we be freaking out about these guys? When we talk about ice and fire, the guys on ice, I'm going to ask you, Frank, are we freaking out about this guy or are you not freaking out about him? Because there's some guys I'm definitely freaking out about. No question about it. And there's other guys where I'm like, don't worry about it. It's week 1. We can't overreact to everything. It's a long season. There's ups and downs, and there's a mean. So, take it easy. We're okay. All right, let's get into it. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us and for listening and for watching. Don't forget, you can follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Please subscribe and smash that bell to get notifications when we have new episodes out on YouTube. It's Frankly Fantasy Football. And you can follow us on Twitter at Frankly Fantasy F. Let's get into the news, man.
The season 2,000 yards. The team doesn't expect absolutely lost. Flip out.
News and notes.
Is that your news and notes face? Is that what that is?
That is.
Okay, that's really nice. All right, we had some. It wasn't terrible, but we did have we had some guys go down. This is what we're going to expect. These guys do not play much at all in the preseason, so this is almost like week 4 in the preseason, week 1, and it's tough. The guys they're not in full conditioning shape. They're not in full football shape yet. They haven't played 60 minutes of football, so that's difficult. First one on here, Dak Prescott broke his thumb. It hurts, man. He's eyeing week 8 or 9 return. Now the news is coming out that they think Jerry Jones. Let me news with quotes. It's Jerry Jones thinking he's going to be back in 4 weeks. I would not plan on that. Typical timeline for this is 6 to 8 weeks. They were originally saying a week 8 or 9 return after the surgery. But either way, he's going to be out for at least a month, probably 2, closer to 2. Cooper Rush will start. All over the news all day has been, what are the Cowboys going to do? Are they going to make a move for a Jimmy G? Are they going to make a move for, there's all of these other quarterbacks that are kind of sitting out there, sitting at home on a couch, not on a team, that I think are going to be better than Cooper Rush. What do you think about that? Do you think they're going to make a move, or do you think they're going to stick with Cooper Rush?
I think it's going to really depend on this week, John. And I think it also depends on if they think that the season's already lost. And I know that sounds crazy because it's week 1, but the way the division is going now, I mean, you're seeing spikes and the Eagles, what they're doing. They went out and got AJ Brown. We're going to talk about him. Hell of a showing from the Eagles. Hell of a showing from the Commanders. Yes, they played Jacksonville. I get it. And yes, the Eagles played Detroit. I'll tell you what, Detroit looks pretty stout though for the most part. They're going to be a tough team. They're going to be fighting every game. John, so I don't know. It really is going to depend on this week. If I were Jerry Jones and if I were Mike McCarthy, John, I think you really need to take a look at potentially what else is out there. I just think that Cooper Rush really, I don't see it. And then I know they have their third string guy who also isn't super great either. So, I mean, it's not like they have Andy Dalton back there anymore as the backup, who's very serviceable. So, John, it's going to be tough, man. I think it's really going to depend on how Cooper Rush plays this game.
Knowing Jerry Jones, I can see him saying that he thinks it could be 4 weeks and sooner, because he doesn't want to spend the money and get somebody else out there. That's my guess. I mean, it's kind of coach speak, owner speak, if you will. All right, well, that's going to be an issue. We'll talk about some guys you can look at on the waiver wire and, streaming options, because if you had Dak Prescott, you're probably going to be streaming for about a month or so. Najee Harris left the game in the fourth quarter, running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers. This one hurt me. Najee was my first-round pick in one of my leagues, a foot injury. So I was really worried that he re-aggravated that sprain he had, the Liz Frank sprain. Doesn't seem to be that. He's saying, and the team is saying at the moment, it looks like he's going to play in week 2. They had some scans. They came back negative. We'll see. I don't like it. I know he's going to play, but is he going to be at full force? What's going on with that Pittsburgh team? I know they squeaked out a win, but they also lost that stud on one of the best defensive players in the league, man. What's his name there, buddy?
TJ Watt.
TJ Watt. I was losing my mind here. I'm looking at too many things on the screen. Yeah, TJ Watt is out. They're saying he's not going to be out for the season, but it's going to hurt this defense, and in turn, it's going to hurt the offense. If they're not getting to the quarterback and they're not getting the ball back to the offense, they're not going to have quite as many options. It could hurt Najee just a tad. So I'm nervous about it. Keep monitoring at the end of the week. If they're saying he should play, it might be one of those annoying things that you might not know until Sunday morning if he's going to play or not. All right, Chris Godwin. This sucks too. We just saw him out on the field. He was able to come back from, he had an ACL tear, right? Kept him out.
That's correct, yeah.
Came back real early, and now he's out with a hamstring. He's going to be out a few weeks. This is not, hamstrings typically with receivers, it's usually a 1 to 2 week thing, and the risk of re-injuring is very, very high. So I think Chris Godwin, I hate receivers with hamstring injuries because it's just annoying. We saw it with, we've seen it with Julio for how long now, where it just keeps re-aggravating. So monitor his status. He's probably going to be out a couple of weeks. I'd wait until he's in full go before I'd even think about playing him. We lost another running back here. This one was tough. We lost him early too. Elijah Mitchell. We talked about him. The guy has a little bit of the bug for injuries, soft tissue issues. Sprained MCL. Elijah Mitchell, running back for the San Francisco 49ers. Looks like he's going to be out about 2 months. We're going to talk about the waiver wire and some options that you can look at for that as well. Keenan Allen, another hamstring here. This one hurts. He was on fire, on fuego. They were just targeting him. Herbert was targeting him constantly. Left the game with a hamstring. Haven't put a timetable on him yet. But again, with these hamstrings, it's a week or two. He's going to be out a bit. So pay attention to that. Another receiver, T. Higgins, left the game with a concussion. I looked it up. The new timetable now for concussions, it's usually 7 to 10 days, depending on the severity. They're not saying that it's a very severe concussion, so he's looking like he's going to miss probably 1 to 2 games. Keep an eye on that. He could be put back in, but it's probably going to be at least 1 game. George Kittle, he was ruled out last week. He could return for week 2. This isn't even really news. He could return, but they're really not sure yet.
Maybe.
I don't know. We'll see. So keep an eye on George Kittle. Luckily, that's all we've got for the injuries. Thank God. Oh, my God. That was the biggest thing I was worried about is, please, I just want my studs to stay healthy. All right, man, for the first time this season, let's get to ice. Frankie and Johnny's Song of Ice and Fire. Let's go Game of Thrones style here, baby. Frankie, I'm going to give you the first person on ice because we knew he was on ice. We said not to draft him. We said not to start him. Who, my friend, is leading the ice?
John, this one just tickles my fancy. I'm talking about the lead back who was probably drafted in the 3rd round, maybe 4th round, maybe 2nd round, depending if you were crazy, for the Los Angeles Rams, Cam Akers, John. He had 3 carries and 0 yards. 3 carries, 0 yards, 0 targets, 0 receptions, 0. Absolutely frozen solid, John. We called this, said it was risky. Henderson looked way better. Not to say that Cam Akers can't come back, John, but as of this week, week 1, he is frozen solid, my man.
Yeah, it's the Achilles, man. It's very difficult to come back from those, and when you do come back, I was listening to a lot of these injuries, listening to some doctors talk about it, and with the Achilles, it's not that you can't come back from them, it's that you're not as explosive. You can't explode like you used to. Cam Akers, I mean, his whole thing was being an explosive back, and it may just not ever come back. That's the problem. Right now, Darrell Henderson looks like the more explosive back. I think you're going to see a lot more carries for Darrell Henderson moving forward.
Agree.
Yeah. All right, the next guy on ice here. I'm going to take it because this one hurts my soul. He was my champion. Now, listen. First of all, Cam Akers. Is this a freak out? Are you freaking out on Cam Akers? Week 1 freak out?
No, I'm not going to completely freak out on Cam Akers. No, I mean, we called it. Not super high about it. I think that this could really be a kick in the ass for him. I think he could end up being an interesting play come midseason, John.
All right, well, you don't draft a guy in the 2nd or 3rd round hoping for midseason, so I'm freaking out. I don't draft a guy there hoping that he's going to play 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks later.
Sure.
No way. All right, Mike Williams, 2 for 4, 10 yards, 2 points. It was bad. Ugh. I know, I felt terrible. He was my champion. Let me tell you something. He's still my goddamn champion, okay? We just talked about it in the news. Keenan Allen's out. He's going to be out for a week or 2 probably. So Mike Williams, he's going to get his. Herbert spread the ball all around to everybody. It's week 1. It's week 1, you know. Don't freak out on Mike Williams. He has those ups and downs. He's not that guy who's going to give you 80 yards and a touchdown every single week. He's going to have those big weeks. Not really a boom bust. It's just he slows down and then he speeds back up. You know, it's a little bit different than that. So I am not freaking out about Mike Williams, and I think I'll talk about him a little later as well. Are you freaking out about Mike Williams, Frankie?
No, not at all. I think especially with Keenan Allen going down, John, the way Justin Herbert spreads that ball around, it's just a tough week. It's a tough week for the guy. And they were ahead. So, I mean, you know, I think that he's going to have a huge bounce back week this week.
Yep, I agree. Next on ice, Bobby Trees. Wow. This hurts because I even said, hey, if you want a safe guy with a high floor and a low ceiling, go with Bobby Woods. He didn't get the ball, man. It was 1 catch for 2 targets, 13 yards, 2 points out of Bobby Trees. At this point, it's a little bit of a freak out for me. I don't feel good playing him until he's getting more than 2 targets. He played the whole damn game. You know, are you freaking out with Bobby Trees?
I am a little bit, man.
Yeah.
It was a bit concerning. I mean, like Treylon Burks looked nice. That's the other thing. Treylon Burks looked really well. Obviously, Derrick Henry's going to get it going. I'm not super freaking out about that. Westbrook even looked decent in terms of the other receiver. Bobby Trees was completely out of the picture, man. And so, yeah, I'm a little bit like, shit. I mean, is this guy really going to be a receiver 4 and potentially not even a flex option at this point? So, right. Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous about it.
Yeah, I don't feel good. I don't feel good about him in my flex. I'm not starting him until I see him get more targets for sure. All right, next guy on ice. We were a little nervous about this guy coming in. Weren't sure what they were going to do. CeeDee Lamb. This is a weird stat line with CeeDee Lamb. 2 catches. Sucks. This is a 2nd round pick. 11 targets.
It's insane. For
29 yards, 3 points. Now, explain to me the 2 catches on 11 targets. Were they Cooper Rush targets? Is that why most of that was like that? Is that what we're going to see moving forward?
It was, John. It was a mix of both. That's the problem. It was definitely a mix of Dak. Dak did not look good even before he got hurt. And so also CD didn't look 100% healthy. Like, it was kind of weird, man. As I'm watching this game, I mean, CD looked a tiny bit off. He had a bad drop, and then Dak wasn't getting him the ball in certain breaks. And then Cooper Rush, I mean, was just, slinging shit at some point. And so it's kind of a mix of it all. John, this is one that I'm not fully hitting the panic button on, but my hand's hovering over it. Like I'm very, very nervous about CeeDee Lamb this year. And I said that to you. I said before we started, we were talking about some really good receivers and stuff. This guy wasn't even on my draft board. And the reason being is because for me, I love CeeDee Lamb. I thought he was great. I think it's a Juju Smith-Schuster type of ordeal to where when Juju had AB, right, he looked really nice because a lot of the coverage wasn't drawn on him. Now, like very similar to that with Amari and CeeDee Lamb. Now with Amari gone, CeeDee Lamb stepping in, and he's a young guy, right, trying to come and find his way as a true receiver one. I think there's going to be some growing pains there. And then now on top of it, you have Dak who's hurt. And then now we're going to expect Dak to maybe come back and just be magically click his fingers and start throwing the ball. I don't know, man. So I'm not fully hitting the panic button, but damn near, man. That my hand's hovering over that button for sure.
I'm panicking. I'm freaking out on CeeDee Lamb. I'm freaking out on the entire Cowboys squad at this point. If they played that bad with Dak, they're going to play real bad without Dak. I don't want a part of Zeke. I don't want a part of CeeDee Lamb. There's no other receivers there. He's getting all of the coverage and all of the looks because there is no one else. Gallup is still on the IR. The rookie they drafted
didn't even dress.
Didn't even dress. What the hell is that about?
Crazy, man.
I know,
not
it's
even
weird.
active.
Yeah, I'm panicking on CD. All right, let's get to another guy I'm not panicking on here who was on ice in week 1, Thursday night game. Allen Robinson, wide receiver for the Los Angeles Rams. 1 catch, 2 targets, 12 yards, 2 points. No bueno. I think he was blanketed by that Buffalo defense. I'm not freaking out. He's going to get his. We've seen that receiver, almost no matter who it is, be targeted, have good games. It was the Cooper Cup show, and there was really nobody else really touching the ball much. Not freaking out. I think better days are ahead for Allen Robinson.
Not freaking out, man. And I completely agree. I also think it's going to take time for him to gel, right?
Yeah.
That's the other thing. It's just going to take a minute. So definitely, I agree with you, man. Not freaking out.
All right, next guy we got here, Aaron Rodgers. Oh, man, this reminds me of last year. Remember that last year? How piss poor his performance was fantasy-wise, and the team just looked like shit. Aaron Rodgers is 22 for 34, 195 yards, 1 pick, 1 fumble, 4 sacks. He had negative points.
Literally.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not freaking out, but I also didn't draft Rodgers. This team, it's going to take a little while. He's got no receivers. He's getting no help whatsoever from his receivers. I think things will get better when Alan Lazard comes back, but they've just got some work to do. I like the running backs. They're both going to get a lot of play, a lot of catches out of the backfield, especially A.J. Dillon shocked me. He got a lot of receiving work. Yeah, A.J. Dillon led the team in targets, catches, and receiving yards. That's just not good. You can't do that. Not with a team with Aaron Rodgers on it, the back-to-back MVP. Not freaking out, but I also would not start or stream him for a couple of weeks. You got to get that team to get their shit together, basically. Another quarterback here on ice. Matthew Stafford. We're going to call him Matty Ice now because he was on ice. 29 of 41, 240 yards and a touchdown, 3 picks, a fumble, and 7 sacks. I mean, this Buffalo defense looked crazy. Insane, man. He had 5 points, Matthew Stafford. You were not expecting that when you threw him out there. And buyer beware if your quarterback is starting against that Buffalo D. They don't even have their number 1 corner in the game yet. Oh, God, when they get him back, it's going to be insane, man. Jesus. Okay, another Cowboy on ice, obviously. Zeke Elliott, 52 yards, ho-hum, 5 points. It's not why you drafted Zeke. It's not what you want to see. Kyle Pitts. I mean, come on, man. This is a tight end you're taking. Super freak. We did this all last year. He flashed, but he never really helped you out in fantasy. 2 for 7, 19 yards, 2 points out of Kyle Pitts. Are you freaking out on Kyle Pitts?
No. And I say that, John, because I remember back when Delaney Walker really showed out when Mariota was playing there. And so I think it's just going to take a minute for them to both figure it out. I think Kyle Pitts is going to be fine. He's one that I'm not freaking out about, but he did have a pretty bad showing.
He did. Interestingly enough, he spent most of his time split out as a receiver or in the slot. He wasn't even really a tight end for the game. And Mariota looked pretty good, believe it or not. He's got some wheels on him. I think that team just needs a little time to gel a little bit. Drake London was interesting on that team. So,
he was.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be some fantasy value coming out of this team. Cordero Patterson shocked me. It made me crazy. I called him very, very bad things. But guess what? He proved me wrong, and that's what's fun about fantasy, man. All right, last one on here on ice is Devontae Smith. 4 targets for 0. You panicking?
Panicking.
I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out, man.
The fuck? No, dude, I'm losing. This guy, panic. Huge panic here, John.
Yeah.
And I just really think this could be bad.
I don't want any other Eagles receivers. It is A.J. Brown. He is zeroed in on A.J. Brown. When Jalen Hurts gets out there, he looks at A.J. If he's open, he throws. If he's not, he runs. That's it. That's going to be the offense. It's going to be fantastic for fantasy, for Jalen Hurts, and for A.J. Brown owners.
And for Goddard.
All the running backs. Actually, Goddard, too. Yeah, Goddard, too. Absolutely. All right. Well, you know what? When you have these guys, Frankie, because we talked about Aaron Rodgers, our ice segment, Fire and Ice segment today is brought to you by Nicolas Cage. So kudos to you, Aaron Rodgers and Nicolas Cage. And those of you guys who had these guys on your teams, this is how you feel. I was going to cut that clip down. I'm like, you know what? No, I want 30 seconds of people feeling that agony and that pain, because that's what it feels like, man.
It does.
That is exactly what if you were a Dak Prescott owner, shout out to Sean Hickey against me in a 2-quarterback league.
Makes you want to puke, dude.
Oh, that's how you feel. Thanks, Nick Cage. Appreciate that. All right, buddy. Let's get to fire. Why don't you talk about the first guy on fire who lit the world on fire? Holy shit. We saw him a lot last year on this segment, on both ends, ice and fire. He came out and he said, fuck the naysayers, because they don't mean a thing. This is what style we bring. Who is it, man?
Patrick Mahomes, baby. Patty Mahomes, John. Mahomie. Doesn't even have Tariqan? Who is that guy?
Are you okay?
Hill?
Are you okay?
Yeah, I know. Jesus, I got to check myself. Tyreek Hill doesn't even have him anymore. He doesn't give a fuck. Patrick Mahomes, 360 yards, Sean, 5 touchdowns with no Tyreek Hill, 45 fantasy points for those who took the chance. My brother being one, took Patrick Mahomes 2 overall in a 2-quarterback league and is reaping the rewards. John, I think Patrick Mahomes, the beautiful thing about him this year, and the hard thing that's going to be for defenses playing against him, they used to key on that of Kelsey and Tyreek Hill, and everybody else would just go to the wayside, and they would kind of threaten, hey, throw it to him. Now, he's throwing it to everybody. There isn't that key guy outside of Kelsey, of course, but there isn't. I mean, Juju was eating. MVS got some. Yeah. Isaiah, what's his name?
Pacheco.
Thank you.
Isaiah Pacheco, yeah. And Sky
again,
Moore was involved. I mean, there were guys catching the ball that I had never heard of before. It was crazy.
CEH, man. And we called that. And so
we did.
Huge hats off to the guy. I mean, to be expected, but really outdid himself, I feel like, for game 1.
Yeah, and the bottom line is, we talked about this. I want a piece of that offense. Yeah. I don't know who it is. And I don't know that unless there's injury or some things change, it may not be anybody. It may just be a little bit of everyone. And you're like, oh, I need a flex player. Let me grab a Kansas City receiver. Yeah. And no matter who it is, you're probably going to have a decent floor on that. Yeah. I've got MVS sitting on one of my benches, and, I'm waiting to play him. And I feel fine doing it. It could be his week. I think it's going to be a different guy every week that really, really shines. But I think everybody's going to get the ball. If he's throwing 360 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Insane.
There's fantasy value everywhere. You just got to find it. All right, we're going in order here of how many points they scored. Frankie, number 2 overall fantasy point scorer of the week. Surprise, surprise, Carson goddamn Wentz, man.
Wow.
I know you've been talking high on him this year. Tell me about Carson Wentz on fire.
I mean, he looked good, John. He looked very good. Again, he threw for 313 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did throw for 2 picks. But, guys, he looked sharp in this offense. It's like Taylor Heineke, couldn't get it done. And now you see Carson Wentz, and he totally has elevated this team. Granted, He did play, against Jacksonville and all that, but he still looked good. The receiver connection looked good. He had 38 fantasy points, John. I mean, I'm not going to go out and do something crazy and say you need to start him in a single quarterback league right away. But I will tell you that in a double quarterback league, this dude is fucking gold. He's gold right now.
He's a great streaming option. He's a great option if you just lost Dak Prescott.
Yes.
Definitely. And he's giving life to Terry McLaurin. I was worried about Terry. I'm not going to lie. He's giving life to Terry McLaurin. And then we have a new superstar, the best rookie receiver on the week, Johan Dotson.
Looked
2 touchdowns.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then Curtis Samuel coming back from
Welcome
the grave.
back, Curtis Samuel. Yeah, he was the big, offseason pickup last year for them. Didn't really do anything, and there he is in the slot doing his work, man. I love it. All right, next guy on fire. We all knew this was going to happen, man. There's a reason why he was taken in the drafts where he was, and god damn did he show it. It was beautiful. Josh Stallion, Josh Allen, quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, just showed us, listen, man, we're the team to beat. That's what they came out and said on Thursday night, beating the shit out of the reigning Super Bowl champions. So impressive. 297 yards passing, 3 passing touchdowns, 2 picks, 56 yards rushing, and a rushing touchdown for 38 total points. Josh Stallion.
Unbelievable.
He's a goddamn animal. Okay, now let's get to a guy who really makes you feel good, man. This is a guy I couldn't draft him anywhere. He is so my guy, man. He's my new DK Metcalf, where I want to lick his chest. I don't even know what I haven't seen him with his shirt off. I don't even care. He could look like shit. He could be all sloppy and dad bod like me. Don't care, man. I'm licking this guy's stomach and chest. I love him. Justin goddamn Jefferson, man. I'm telling you, he's going to be hands and away the best receiver this year. I think he could break massive records. Their new offense looks insane. And why is he so open all the time? Is it the new offense? Is it the scheme?
Dude,
is it the plays? Is it his route running? Yeah.
John, his route running, like it was as if Devontae Adams and Keenan Allen had a baby and they produced this beautiful. Dude, I knew his route running was good. I didn't know it was borderline prolific until I saw him, completely 360 a corner on just a cornerback on just a normal out route. And
he's out there breaking ankles, dude. He's breaking ankles left and right, just on one turn, one cut. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. 9 catches on 11 targets, 184 yards, and 2 touchdowns. 36 points out of JJ. Love it. All right, Frank, let's go ahead and talk about somebody. Whose champion was this guy? Was this my champion or your champion?
I think it was your champion, Johnny.
I believe it was my champion, yes. My champion, thank you, because one of my champions took a shit and was on ice. This champion, hey man, he's back. Saquon Barkley. We are no longer wiping. The wiping is over.
No more wiping.
No more wiping. He's not a marker anymore. Saquon Barkley's back, guys. 164 yards rushing, a touchdown. What did he have here? 6 catches, 6 out of 7 catches for 30 yards, a 2-point conversion, and a fumble. 31 points. He did everything for this team. He was the team. It looks like Saquon Barkley from 2018, where he just carried the team and did everything. He looks awesome. Start him with confidence and feel good about it. I'm so happy he's back. All right, let's look at this little special mention on some guys here. There's so many that we didn't want to miss out on anybody, but just want to mention some here and being able to keep this podcast down to a short amount of time. Justin Herbert with nearly 30 points. DeAndre Swift looked fantastic. 27 points for him. Jonathan Taylor doing Jonathan Taylor things. Damn, it feels good to be a gangster. 26 points. Cooper Kupp. Still doing Cooper Kupp things, man. He's still right there. 26 points out of Cooper. Lamar Jackson played well, looked good. 26 points out of him. Devontae Adams. Welcome to Las Vegas. Devontae Adams, man, 25 points. He's showing that he's still the man. What's funny to me, real quick before I do that, 25 points out of Jamar Chase as well. Still look great. Stephon Diggs, 24 points. What I want to say is all of the first round and second round receivers, they delivered, man. They blew up. There were running backs in that first round. And you look at the picks like 2 through 5, they were questionable. They had single digit points. They were questionable. I really liked that, taking those receivers in that first round, and this shows you why. These guys are just outscoring the running backs. Running back, it's still tough because it's such a hard position to fill. There's so many injuries. You need a lot of them. But, man, drafting these receivers, it's just the right move. Shout out to Matt McGlone, who's been on the podcast multiple times. He drafted 4 receivers in a row, and they were great studs. He got JJ. He got Tyreek Hill. His third AJ receiver Brown. Is AJ Brown. Yeah, I mean, just absolutely bananas.
He had a good fourth, too. I can't remember. He went 4 receivers in a row. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was great. Kudos to you. Good strategy. This is how he felt, and the Justin Jefferson owners felt on the couch watching the games. This is when you know your guys are on fire. Come on, Nick. What do you got for me? Jesus Christ, it's great. I love Nicolas Cage. Hats off to him. That's a scene from Face Off. Love that movie. Okay, man, we've got the wire. We're going to do our waiver wire. Frankie's got some great waiver wire pickups for us here.
Oh, yeah.
I know some of you guys are freaking out with some of these injuries we had, or just on your freak out from your guys being on ice. A couple guys you need to be worried about. Let's kick us off with another Family Guy clip. How about that?
You got the stuff?
Yeah, I got it. Where's the money, huh? I want to see the money.
No. You don't see the money till I see the stuff.
Oh, for God's sake, there's only one way to put an end to this nuisance. He's wearing a wire!
What? You son of a...
All right. Thank you, Stewie. I can always count on you to find video clips for me. All right, Frankie, why don't you lay us out some good waiver wire hit picks here, buddy?
Yeah, guys. So first and foremost, there's a lot of injuries. You have to take that in consideration. The first guy that comes to mind for me, John, is going to be Jeff Wilson. He's going to be playing Seattle this coming week with Elijah Mitchell going down for nearly 2 months, guys. He's going to be a nice backfill. So, John, this is one thing that, and listeners, this is one thing, and viewers, that you're going to have to really dive into is how much to really lay down for Jeff Wilson if you're in a bidding style of fab dollars. And so, for me, John, I would probably be going anywhere from 10 to 25, depending on what your need is. But I feel like Jeff Wilson, guys, has to be the first guy coming off the board in a run-heavy offense, and that of the 49ers.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, we talked about this before, that Elijah Mitchell has a very difficult time staying healthy, and that there are going to be, I mean, really, you should look at all of these. There's a couple of guys in this backfield in San Francisco. They should be rostered because the injuries, we've seen this carousel over the past couple of years. But Jeff Wilson, he's the veteran there. He's going to get the start. But keep an eye on the rookie as well.
Yep. John, the next guy that I wanted to hit on too, DJ Chark. I mean, he really came out and showed some really good chemistry with Jared Goff. Had a really nice stat line. Guys, the reason why I like DJ Chark this week is because he's playing Washington. If you look at who performed against Washington this week, and granted, it was the Jags, Christian Kirk had 117 yards and Zay Jones had a great game. And so when I'm looking at these types of receivers, it's not necessarily that receiver one, maybe it is, but it's that receiver two as well. Well, knowing Amon-Ra St. Brown is that solidified receiver one, guys, DJ Chark is going to eat a little bit here, and I could really see this being kind of a shootout again. I mean, we just saw Jared Goff isn't afraid to let the ball loose a bit, and yeah, they lost to Philly, but damn it, man, there were 71 combined points in that game between Philly and Detroit. I could see very similar to that with Detroit and Washington here, man. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, there is real fantasy value on the Detroit Lions this year.
Definitely.
No question about it. And I think DJ Chark should be rostered. He had 81% of the snaps, 8 targets. I mean, any receiver getting 8 targets, I want him on my bench, and I'll make a decision on when I can start those guys. 4 catches for 52 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, pick him up. He needs to be on the waiver wire. Who else you got, bud?
I got Russell Gage, John. Russell Gage for that of Tampa Bay. And I think this is his time to shine. I think now with Godwin officially being out a few weeks here, Mike Evans is obviously that guy. Julio showed out very well, but they really need a true slot receiver where Tom Brady's usually hitting those quick routes at. So I really like Russell Gage against a NOLA defense this coming week. Now, Russell Gage only had 13 yards on 2 targets, but again, with Godwin out, that target share should absolutely, if anything, double. And I think he's a really, really nice flex pickup.
Yeah, I agree with you. I love it. Oh my gosh, are you really going to talk about this next guy again? Are you going to say this name again? Why? He's fantasy relevant. This is a starting running back.
He's real.
He's real. I can't even believe. I think he's my age. What the hell? Go ahead. I'll give you the floor.
Sexy Rexy. Okay, Sexy Rexy. We got Sex Burkhead coming at you against the Denver Broncos. Okay, guys, here's why he's fantasy relevant. Okay, 19 touches last game. He ran the ball 14 times and had 40 yards, right? Not super great. But what was fascinating was the target share that he dominated, John. He caught 5 receptions on 8 targets for 30 yards. If a running back is getting 8 targets of any kind, that is absolutely a guy that needs to be rostered. This also made me feel like, hey, the Dameon Pierce that we saw in preseason, he's still there, but maybe they're not willing to completely unleash him yet. And so there's also situational play going on, right? So they played Indy. Indy had a good defense, right? Same thing that with Denver. Denver has a decent defense. So guys, maybe the run was being stopped so much so that they had to be able to pass it through the air to the running back. And that is where Sex Burkhead really comes to play. So John, I think that absolutely this is a guy that should be picked up in every league possible and put him on the bench. See what happens.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is it's still the running back for the Houston Texans. I don't know how much value there's going to be, but it's week 1. Why not put a starting running back on your bench? It'd be foolish not to, because he is. You know, the Dameon Pierce rocket has seemed to come down a tad. You know, it has. He's a rookie, you know, and they love sex. They love Sex Burkhead.
They do. They love Sex Burkhead.
All right, who's your final pickup on the waiver wire?
My final pickup, guys, we're going to go with Isaiah McKenzie here. McKenzie, excuse me. So he's playing Tennessee this week. But, guys, it's very similar to that of the Chiefs. Anybody on the Buffalo Bills is fantasy relevant at this point in time. And so Isaiah McKenzie, what we saw from him, he had 1 touchdown, 2 receptions, and 19 yards. What that's telling me is if he's open, Josh Allen is going to get him the ball. And so I really think that this is a very interesting guy that we could see slowly overtake that Crowder slot role. You might not start him every week, but John, he's a really, really nice dude. And I said this before, he's the type of guy that I would really like to do in a package deal. If he goes off again, John, watch out for guys that have him because you can package him up with another maybe RB2 or another flex receiver or a receiver 2 to get a more secured receiver or a true RB2, things like that. There's possibility for that. So, John, be on the lookout for those that are looking to pick up Isaiah McKenzie. Could be looking to trade him very, very quickly.
Yeah, I agree. I like it. All right, let's get to a new segment we're doing this week. We don't have time. We're trying to get this podcast to about an hour, but there's so much to cover when you only do once a week. So instead of doing the entire slate of matchups, we're going to do a little hit it and quit it. We're going to pick 2 guys for each of us that we love, that we say hit it, and the 2 guys that we say you do not start this week, and we say quit it. All right, Frank, let's get to a couple hit its and quit its here. Yeah, I want to hit it and quit it, man. All right, Frankie, why don't you give us your first guy that you say is a must start this week and we should hit it?
Must start, hitting it, baby. I'm all over Amon-Ra St. Brown, John. I think this guy has no longer become the Egyptian god of garbage time. This guy is just an Egyptian god in Detroit. And what I mean by that is, John, he had 8 receptions on 12 targets. He had 64 yards and a touchdown against Philly. By the way, for those that don't know, that's Darius Slay all over him, and he still had 8 receptions and a touchdown. So now with them going into, I believe it was Washington, John, this could be just a huge fucking game for Amon-Ra St. Brown, especially after what we saw from Kirk.
Yeah, I love it. He's the real deal, man. I mean, sometimes you have to be careful of those guys who, finished the last 5 games really, really strong for the year and didn't really put it together for the entire year. But he was a rookie. We talked about it.
Yep.
Yeah, sometimes they pop towards the end of the year or midway through the season, and he did. It's continuing. I mean, he's got a real connection with Jared Goff, and he's their one. I mean, he's their guy. He's their star. So it's very clear and very obvious. All right. Let's go to my guy, my hit it. And listen, I don't care that he was on ice today. I don't.
Give a shit.
You know what? Because 2 weeks ago, he was my goddamn champion, and he accepted. I'm talking about Mike Williams, okay? I know. He had 2 catches on 3 targets or something last week. Fine. Don't worry about it. Mike Williams at Kansas City. We've got Kansas City versus LA. This is going to be
so great.
Such a great match. It was so fun to watch last year when they played. It's just fantasy gold. There's going to be fantasy rain all day long, man. Yeah, that's what's going to be happening. Last year when they played, the score was 34-28. A lot of points scored.
Awesome.
Yeah, a lot of points scored. Listen, Keenan Allen's probably missing this game. It is very, very probable that he misses this game. Mike Williams is going to be heavily targeted. He's going to be featured. He's going to get those touchdowns. He's that big touchdown, big play guy in the red zone. There's just no doubt about it. It's just a numbers game at this point. Without Keenan Allen there, Mike Williams has to have his pop. Like we said, he's got his ups and downs. This week, I'm telling you, it's going to be an up. No question about it. All right, Frankie, let's give another one of yours here. Who's your second hit it?
My second hit is going to be Juju Smith-Schuster. And so, guys,
All right.
This is a guy that I am really starting to believe in. And the reason being is because, again, of 8 targets. He was 6 catches on 8 targets, 79 yards against that of Arizona. And what was interesting, too, John, is this was an ass beating. This was an ass beating of a game in every way, shape, or form. I believe they won by over 20 points. And so for him to still see this amount of production, even with that type of gameplay, this goes to show that he is, in my opinion, the highest floor on that of the Kansas City team. You might have a little bit of higher ceiling with that of MVS. Maybe he scores off and goes for 20, next week or whatever. But I really see Juju still floating around that 4, 5, 6 catch radius and over that of 50 yards. And so I really think with them having to go in and play that of the Chargers, like what you had just mentioned, they're going to need to throw the ball. They're going to need to keep up the pace with that of Herbert. I mean, you think about it, John. The Chargers just played Vegas, right? Carr threw for almost threw for 300 yards. He threw for 295. And now you have Patrick Mahomes. So imagine that translating now into that with Juju. And so I just think that there's a lot of serious potential here, guys, for this week. Like, John, you mentioned it with Mike Williams. There's going to be fantasy points all over the fucking board. So that's why I really do like Juju Smith-Schuster as a really must start, in my opinion, flex option for this week.
I like it. I can't disagree with you as much as I want to, man. I know.
You just can't.
I know. Well, you're going to love my last guy here. I hit it. You're going to love this one.
I'm going to hit that shit.
I would say it would give you a chub, but that's just a little too on the nose, man. I'm talking about Kareem Hunt. All right, let's go Browns fans. All right, Kareem Hunt. It is so good to see Chubb and Hunt together, healthy and just dominating. This is what they do. What they did last week, get used to it. If they're both healthy and on the field, this is what's going to happen. Kareem Hunt, 56% of the snaps, so I love that it's a little more than half there. Being out on the field, he's out on the field a lot with Chubb as well. I loved seeing both of them in an I formation. It just made me happy.
That was awesome.
11 rushes, 46 yards, and a touchdown. 4 catches for 24 yards and a touchdown, 21 points. Listen, this is a guy you can start every week. I know everybody was looking at him as a flex and this and that. He's a solid RB2, and that's just all there is to it. As long as he's healthy and on the field, he's going to get that 56% snap count. He's going to do it. They're playing the Jets and their home opener. This is not a good defense. This is the juiciest of matchups. Beef Brisket's not even going to throw the ball. It is literally going to be Hunt and Chubb all goddamn day long. It's going to look like prison sex. I hate saying that. I know it's brutal, but it could, man. Yeah. Chunt. Oh God, that sounds bad too.
Chubb and Hunt.
Yeah, Chunt. But no, I just don't think you can go wrong. He does everything. He's not going to have those typical games where he's, getting 20 rushes and running for 130 yards. That's not the way he plays. He's going to get 50 yards rushing, 50 yards receiving, and a touchdown or two. I mean, he's a touchdown machine, man, and he's playing great. He looks like a goddamn Tasmanian devil out there. Start him with confidence against the Jets. Love it. All right, Frankie, let's look at who we're going to quit now. These are guys you need to sit. According to me and Frankie, we don't like them this week. This is all week 2, by the way. We're only talking about week 2, so right now. Frankie, who's the first guy you need to sit and quit?
The first guy I need to sit and quit it is going to be that of Cam Akers, guys. Yeah. Wow. Definitely sit his ass. The reason being is because we already talked about it. He had 3 rushes for 0 yards. Yes, they played the Bills defense, which is insane in its own right. But I don't like him for this week either. They are playing Atlanta. We saw what Jonathan Taylor did to Atlanta. But the thing is, Cam Akers isn't even close to Jonathan Taylor. The other part of that is that Henderson really looked solid, extremely explosive, caught the ball well, really hit the hole hard. John, Henderson had 13 carries, 47 yards, and 5 catches for 26 yards. Did way more than that of Akers. And so I would actually be more of the camp starting Henderson as a flex. For me this week, even with a good defensive matchup from that of, the Falcons against that of the Rams, sit his ass, wait to see how this backfield kind of pans out, man, because as of right now, I'm not willing to take the risk.
Yeah, I'm with you. We talked about it. I hate him. I'm freaking out. He's gone. He's dead to me. Okay, my quit it. My first one here. This is a guy I'm going to sit. I think you need to sit him. Damian Harris, running back for the New England Patriots. Listen, this Patriots offense it's struggling. It's on the struggle bus right now. Yeah, it doesn't look good. Matt Patricia and who's the other guy? Calling plays on the offense. These are defensive-minded guys that are running their offense right now, and everything is in transition. To think that having Josh McDaniels leave and they were going to play exactly the same as they did, it's not the case. Yeah, it's not the case. They're struggling bad. This is a true 3-headed monster. I don't like that. I started Ramondre Stevenson in my other league. He didn't do it. These guys, literally, I looked at the snap percentages. They're all at 30%. That's not good, man. You don't want to start a running back that doesn't catch many passes, that's getting 30% of the snaps. Well, maybe. If they're playing the Jets, sure. They're at Pittsburgh this week. I hate it. Even with TJ Watt being gone, I'm sorry, the Pittsburgh defense is very, very good. So I don't want a third of the carries going against the Pittsburgh defense. I'm out. For that reason, I'm out. I quit it. All right, who do you got? Who's your last quit?
I'm quitting on Devontae Smith. And I already said, guys, I'm smashing the panic button here. I know it's week 1, but I am smashing the shit out of it. Guys, he had 0 receptions, as we mentioned, on 4 targets against the Lions. Okay. He's now playing against a Green Bay team that's pissed off as hell. They have Jair Alexander that's going to be lined up with A.J. Brown. This Green Bay defense got shredded by Justin Jefferson. By no means, any way, shape, or form is Devontae Smith close to that. We really didn't see Adam Thielen do much, who was receiver 2. We really didn't see KJ Osborne do much, who's receiver 3 for Minnesota. So thinking about that in terms of Philly here, right, it just doesn't make sense, John. I think this Green Bay team's going to come back pissed off. They're angry. I think they're going to figure it out. But right now, I just really don't think Devontae Smith. I think there's other options that you can look at this point in time.
You can't start him until you see him get involved. He's not involved. You're not quitting Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith is quitting you.
He quit me.
He did. Or Jalen Hurts quit him. I don't know, one of the two. But the bottom line is he's completely irrelevant at this point. All right, let's get to my final quit it. And this one's going to be a little strange because I've got this guy, drafted him in the 4th round. I love him this year. But again, it's not time. Today is not the day. Not today, Satan. I'm talking about Breece Hall, running back for the New York Jets, rookie running back at Cleveland this week. Don't love it. This is Cleveland's home opener. I think that Cleveland is on fire. They're on cloud 9 after that victory, the first one they've had since 2004 in an opener. They're going to come in. The defense is very good. Regardless of being a Browns fan myself, the defensive front is very good. Teams are going to struggle running on us. He's a 50-50 snap percentage. It was pretty much right down the middle, 50-50 with Michael Carter Jr. He had 6 carries for 23 yards. I don't feel good about throwing a running back who's a bruising running back and a hard runner out there who's getting 6 carries in a game. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Now, what is interesting is he got 10 targets. And I know why he got 10 targets. He got 10 targets because of fucking check down Charlie and Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco is just, listen, the Browns defense really could embarrass Joe Flacco in this game. I mean, it really, really could get out of hand with this defense. And for that reason, I'm out until I see more, until I see him with a juicier matchup where he can, let's give him a couple of games to get his feet under him, to get rushing. I have a feeling he's probably going to be a guy. I mean, he's six rushes for 25 yards. I mean, that's not bad. That's, like 4.5 yards a carry. That's good. You want that. But he needs to get volume. He's got to get to volume in order for me to have him out on the field. So whether that's a Michael Carter injury or just a juicy-ass matchup or just them getting their feel for the offense, which is going to take a while. With Joe Flacco under center, until they get a little fucking Mormon kid out there and have him starting. And even that's going to take a few weeks, I think, until they really get a good vibe for what's going on in this offense. Breece Hall, I'm putting you on my bench, brother. I'm starting other options.
John, that's a good call. One other call out too is if Zach Wilson does start, I also think it's you quit Breece Hall. You bench him for this week because I think Zach Wilson's going to look to push the ball a little bit more down the field, and so I don't think it's going to be as much of a check down. And so for that reason, Breece Hall might even do less from a receiving perspective. So John, I think it's a really good call out, man. That's going to be a tough one to sit for people because you probably drafted him as your RB2.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? I'm going to do it. There's guys on the waiver wire. Forget about where you drafted people at this point. Yep. It's all about what usage they're getting and how they look. We're seeing real-time football now. Okay, Frankie, let's get to a little we did our sits, our hits, and our quits. Let's get to a little flex appeal here, buddy. Ready? I was debating of even playing it again this week, but my God, it's my favorite part of my week, man. I mean, you just bring such a smile to my face when you do that. I love it so much. All right, man. Let's give everybody some flex options here. Who's a guy that you love to start in the flex this week?
John, my first guy that I love in the flex, I'm going back to the well. I'm going with CEH here. Guys, what we saw from CEH, he ran the ball 7 times. Not a lot. Crazy efficient. Absolutely insane. He had 42 yards on 7 rushes. He also caught the ball 3 times for 32 yards and 2 tutties. And so, that was against Arizona. Guys, now we're looking at a very explosive game. I know we've mentioned it a lot here against the Chiefs and the Chargers, but this is the type that you should be salivating if you have CEH. I could see more passing work. You can obviously also see what Josh Jacobs did to the Chargers, right? So think about Josh Jacobs when they were playing this past week. He ran for 57 yards on 10 carries. That's 5.7 yards a carry, guys.
I'm not good at math, but I can do that one. I can do that one.
That's tough. You know what I mean? Like 57 yards on 10 carries, and he should have got the ball more. It just wasn't the game plan was that way. So I think CEH having a huge opportunity to really take that next step this week. I love him as a must start, in my opinion, flex appeal option.
Couldn't agree more, man. That's a really good one. All right, I'm going to go with somebody here. We have to think back to Thursday of last week. I'm going with Gabe Davis, the wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills. He's at home versus Tennessee. Tennessee does not have a fantastic defensive backfield. Listen, it doesn't take a lot of analysis here to wonder why you start Gabe Davis. He had 98% of the snaps in a Josh Allen offense. Do you need to say more? I mean, he's the number 2 opposite of Stephon Diggs. I mean, listen, the guy's going to get the ball. He's being targeted. This is a great offense. They hit the ball or hit the ground running, man. 5 targets. He caught 4 of those, 88 yards and a touchdown against the Rams, against a very, very good defense. You know, we're talking Jalen Ramsey back there, you know. Tennessee is not the Rams.
No.
Gabe Davis, feel very good about getting him in your lineup. I don't care if it's wide receiver 2. I don't care if it's flex. Get him in there. He's going to be great.
Love it.
Yep.
Love that, man. John, my other flex appeal here, Chase Edmonds. And so I'm just thinking back to what Chase Edmonds did this past week, right? Wasn't super flashy. We talked about it. Very high floor, though. This guy has a very, very nice floor. And he played against a pretty stout front 7 in that of the Patriots. So he had 12 rushes. He had 25 yards on 4 catches. He had 12 rushes for 25 yards. And then he had 4 receptions for 40. And so, guys, in a full PPR or even a half PPR format, he actually did fairly decent against a pretty tough defense. Now you think about, okay, flash forward to this week. They're playing the Baltimore Ravens. It's going to be a very, very tough task again. But what we saw from the Ravens and what they allowed Breece Hall and Michael Carter to do is what I think we could see from Chase Edmonds. So again, we saw Michael Carter have 60 yards rushing, had 7 receptions for 40 yards. You had Breece Hall with 6 receptions. He had 61 total yards. Guys, I see that same thing playing out with Edmonds here. And the reason being is because, you know, Marcus Peters might be back at this time. We'll have Humphrey. They're going to be lined up with Waddle and that of Tyreek Hill. You know, you're going to have the linebackers keyed in on Gesicki, right? And so I really think, man, that this guy could have a decent week. I'm not talking about a 20-pointer by any means, but he might get you double digits or damn near close. So I really think Chase Edmonds is a very interesting option. And I think this is a very good play, John, for those that might be battling with, you know, hey, if I had Elijah Moore and he went down and I can't get Jeff Wilson, or hey, if I have Breece Hall, who might be a guy I can plug and play? I think that Chase Edmonds might be that guy this week in lieu of that of CEH if you don't have CEH. So that would be my guy, kind of the flex appeal for this coming week too.
Yeah, I like that, man. And it's based off of what happened last week with the Jets. You know, I mean, I love that. He gets give Chase Edmonds those 10 targets that Breece Hall had and see what he does with it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, my final guy here is this is a cute one. You know, all right, this is a guy who's going to be a DFS fantasy darling this week for daily fantasy. I'm talking about Josh Palmer for the Los Angeles Chargers. Wide receiver. Again, we talked about Keenan Allen being out. He's going to be opposite of Mike Williams on this team with Justin Herbert throwing him the ball. They're at Kansas City. It's going to be fireworks. I literally think you can start every receiver and every running back from both of these teams in this game. Week 1, he had 75% of the snaps in week 1. That's with Keenan Allen in. So in 2 wide receiver sets, he's going to be in the game all the time. I don't think you can go wrong. He had targeted a couple of times last week, but it's just talent and opportunity. This guy's a burner. He's really good. Having the opportunity being the number 2 in 2 wide receiver sets, I don't think you can go wrong. Put in Josh Palmer and make yourself look like a genius when he goes off this week and people go, who the hell is that you started? And they go, yeah, I knew he was going to be good.
Love it.
Love it. All right, man. Well, let's finish the podcast here with little streaming options, huh? You got a couple of streams for us, right, Frank? Yeah.
Sure do.
Let's cross the streams, baby.
We'll cross the streams.
Excuse me, Egon. You said crossing the streams was bad.
Cross the streams.
Cross the streams. Yes, I love that. All right, man. Tell us. Give us some knowledge. Give us a couple of guys we can throw out here. Now, we obviously talked about Carson Wentz. If he's out there,
sure did.
Pick him up. If you lost Dak, pick up Carson Wentz. That's pretty simple. But who do you like for streaming options for quarterback, tight end, and defense this week?
Yeah, so I'm just going to list off one for each, John. And guys, again, there's Carson Wentz, there's Kirk Cousins. If Kirk Cousins isn't available or isn't already rostered, things like that. We're going a little bit deeper. And I really, really like the guys that we have listed here, John. So the quarterback, Matt Ryan, who is my champion, threw for 350 yards, threw for a touchdown this past week, had 2 touchdowns dropped. and he's playing against Washington. After seeing what Trevor Lawrence did to Washington, I really see Matt Ryan with MPJ, Paris Campbell, Jonathan Taylor, all of the above, doing dirty things. So I really, really think Matt Ryan is a nice, really nice stream of the week from a quarterback perspective, John.
Yeah.
Looking at it from a tight end side, I'm going with Tyler Higbee here. I'm going with a guy against Atlanta who was a target monster this past week. Now, granted, it was Thursday night. The game script definitely allotted for it, things like that. But I like seeing this kind of move forward. What we didn't see, John, is we didn't see that receiver 2 really spike out of the Rams, really. Outside of Cooper Kupp, I know we talked about Allen Robinson a bit. Really, the receiver 2 option outside of Henderson was that of Tyler Higbee. And so I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this kind of plays out. I was really torn between Robert Tonyan or Tyler Higbee for this. And I think both are very good options. And I think that both are very good options for different reasons. Tonyan, who plays for the Green Bay Packers, because they really don't have anybody else until Lazard comes back. And then Higbee, I think because we've already seen it. And it's translated in from last year. So I think from a tight end perspective, John, against a pretty beat up Atlanta defense, I really like that matchup, man. I think it could be really interesting.
It's a good call. What about defense this week?
Defense, Sean, I'm going to do a little something crazy here. I'm going to go with the Pats defense against the Steelers. And I know Najee is, quote unquote, going to play. I know that Deontay Johnson looked really good. I know that Claypool was utilized in really interesting ways, from rushing as well as some nice receiving ability. Guys, I think the Pats could really put it to the Steelers this week. I think they're going to be pissed off. I think TJ Watt being down significantly hurts their team just from a morale standpoint. I don't think Najee's healthy. Even though they're going to play him, I don't think he gets a full workload. And so that means that they're going to have that rookie step in. Don't really see them doing well from that perspective. John, I really see this being a low-scoring defensive game, and I think it's going to be interesting. So for a stream, guys, I think this could be a really, really interesting play. Pats against the Steelers.
It could be. I mean, it's week 1, and everybody's reaction who are Pittsburgh fans is Mitch the bitch is real. Mitch Trubisky's he's the answer. All right, take it. Slow your roll, guys. Slow down, okay? It's Mitch Trubisky. He's going to have those good games. He's going to have those really bad games.
Yeah.
And against the Patriots defense with Bill Belichick, this could be one of those really bad games. I like the call, man. Nice. All right, Frankie, that's our week 1 freak out. We reviewed week 1. We took a look at week 2. We picked a handful of guys that we think are going to be really good starts for everybody. And you know what? We had a little fun. That's the most important thing. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We're so appreciative of all of you. Please follow us on social media and share it with your friends. Look at the ticker down at the bottom here. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Please subscribe to YouTube. Please, God, subscribe to YouTube so you can understand these jokes and look at Frankie's dancing. Now we've got a couple of segments where he's dancing. Look, yeah, there it is right there. My God, what are you going to do, man? No, I got to play it now. Hold on. Let me find it here. Oh, I got it. Yeah. I mean, you can't miss that every week. Come on. You can't miss that every week. And don't forget, you can send us messages on Twitter as well at Frankly Fantasy F. Everybody, thank you. Good luck to you in week 2. Congratulations to you in week 1. Let's get after it. I want to thank Anthony Sistone from the band Plume for giving us very good music and bumpers here and intros to our segments, and Liam Hickey for helping us produce with his production magic. Frankie, I love you, brother. Namaste.
Love you, man. Namaste.
All right, everyone. Have a great week. May the fantasy gods smile upon you.